ProLife Radio is a pre-recorded program paid for by ProLife Radio.
Preserving the sanctity of life in Florida. A loud voice for the unborn. This is ProLife Radio with your hosts, Vicky and Bruce Cherry.
And welcome to another edition of ProLife Radio on a Sunday night on what has been a beautiful weekend. I'm Bruce Cherry. Across from me, my lovely, talented, and just incredible wife.
Hello, husband.
Vicky Cherry. There we go. Am I sucking up enough tonight?
I don't know yet.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Anyway, as we were prepping, I think I gave her a little bit too much grief, and so it calls for world-class sucking up when we go live. So there you go. So tonight, instead of having guests on, we thought we haven't done this in a while together, just updating you on what's going on in the pro-life movement. And so it's just going to be Vicky and myself and our producer, Dave DiRica. Dave on the bridge in master control there. Dave, say hello to everybody.
Hello to everybody, as the stock joke goes.
There you go. Thank you much. So, of course, we always start out with Jeremiah 1:5 and prayer.
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations.
You changed it up on me a little bit there.
I did. It's just a different version.
It's a different version, not the New King James Version. That's cool. All right. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you once again for the opportunity to share the airwaves and to bring truth and healing. And God, we just pray that we change someone's heart out there, someone who may be thinking about having an abortion, that we change that heart and save that life, or someone who has had an abortion and is feeling guilt, feeling shame. We know there is forgiveness in the blood of Jesus Christ, and we just pray that you ask for that forgiveness and receive it, and that you join us in the fight to protect life, because all life matters. Not one of us has the right to invalidate and take the life of someone who God has ordained to live. And God, we ask you for your blessing upon this show and upon all who hear it tonight. And we thank you. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So ProLife Radio on AM 950, FM 94.9, and we're streaming on theanswerorlando.com. And a lot of stuff has gone on this past week that we just thought it was time to kind of update you on some. Some of it good, some of it not so good. Like in Pennsylvania, the challenge there. Pennsylvania High Court strikes down a decades-old law to prevent Medicaid from paying for abortions in their state. Now, you found this on Facebook, correct?
Yes, it was on Facebook this morning.
Wow. And so what it means is that in a lot of states, because there's so many people who are pro-life, your Medicaid dollars are not allowed to be used for abortion, because the majority of the states said, no, we don't want our tax dollars going for abortions. Well, the court in Pennsylvania has decided, the High Court in Pennsylvania has decided that that is discriminatory towards the less fortunate, those who can't afford the low income, those who can't afford their own abortions. So the rest of us in the state of Pennsylvania would have to pay for that. And this is part of a growing trend around the country. And it amazes me. It amazes me that they're doing this.
Yeah, it's, Bruce, when you were talking in the prayer about forgiveness, and so many times when people are angry and mad, and, also we were looking through and seeing so many pro-lifers out there trying to spread the word and life and against the death of the unborn. And so many people were getting so mad at them and coming up and spitting on them and throwing drinks at them. And, and I get riled up then, and I'm like, I would just, what would I do? But I'm like, a lot of that is unforgiveness. It's pent up anger. And I think that's why they're so volatile. They're so upset. And why would they not just go on? Hey, these people are just talking. But just like Charlie Kirk, he was just talking. But they're so angry.
They're so angry, they don't want to hear the truth, and they want to stifle and silence those who are sharing the truth. So they just, and I should point out, tonight we have in the studio with us, because she's needing some personal time, The ProLife puppy, Princess, is with us. So if you hear a little growling, that's because she either heard something or she is caught whiff of one of the many cats that are around the outside of the building here at Salem Media Orlando. So anyway, back to the Pennsylvania High Court. The appellate court ruled this past Monday that the state constitution guarantees a right to abortion. Now, I don't know the Pennsylvania Constitution. I'll have to look it up and do some research. But they're saying that because the way it's written, the right to privacy and things like that, that it's guaranteed in their Constitution, and that's not the case.
Equality is a lot of it. So if you're just because you're low income, they're saying it's against your rights that you can't also have an abortion, even if you can. Which I've never heard of anybody not being able to get an abortion because they didn't have the money to. So I think that is just another way of getting in there and changing our laws. Mm-hmm. I mean, why should we have to pay for abortion as taxpayers? Yeah, we shouldn't.
Exactly. If you are pro-life, why should the money that you contribute to the state through taxes be used for something that goes against your beliefs, your faith, and it goes against it goes against all that you believe? And apparently the Pennsylvania Appellate Court has decided that that part in their Constitution about the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness doesn't matter if you're in the womb. Mm-hmm. So a divided panel in the Commonwealth Court sided with Planned Parenthood, methinks me smells a rat, and abortion clinic operators in the case that began in 2019 and grew significantly in scope after the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. So it's like, it's like, let's see what we can do to negate this, so to speak. So the ruling marks the first time abortion has been explicitly protected under the Pennsylvania Constitution. Yeah. So,
we talked briefly to a good friend of ours with Pro-Life Action Ministries, Michelle Herzog, who does great work. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to tell the listeners about her and another good friend who's been on the show a while back. We're down at the Maitland Planned Parenthood. Mm-hmm. And she said, unfortunately, it was a very, very busy day down there. And there was so many mothers going in. And here it is, so close to Mother's Day. And they told them, please don't go in there. It's Mother's Day. And the rudeness, the anger, I guess, was on full display. And she said there was lots of Christian women saying they were Christian, God will forgive them, no big deal. Or, I know it's a baby, I've already taken care of it, I'm no longer a mother. But you are still a mother. You're just a mother of a dead child instead of a living child. And you are the one that, let it happen. Mm-hmm. We're called to protect our children. And I think that's so many of the ills in our society now is because of that. As a human population, we don't care about people like we used to. And we're so self-centered. I'm overwhelmed sometimes by it.
There are people that say they saw it coming with the invention of the microwave, with the invention of the electronic babysitter, the boob tube, or the television.
Did you just say that?
I did say that, yes. That's what it was called. And also with the internet and social media, because we've become a people of instant gratification. And we want everything, and we want it now. And it's all about what's in it for me. And so with that, we've become very selfish. And it seems like we no longer understand sacrifice for the good of those around us, or sacrifice for our children.
That's I was going to say something about the family. We don't. So many young people. That's when they kind of grew up. I guess they got married, had kids, and knew it wasn't all about them anymore. That it was about another human being. I also just recently read about a young lady, and I think you read it too, also, Bruce, about she was pregnant, had a failed abortion, and so the doctor had to set her legs because she was torn apart. Basically.
Well, it was the young lady. She didn't have a failed abortion. She was part of a failed abortion. She was one of a set of twins, and her mother had the abortion like 3 or 4 months prior to her being born. The mother was rushed to the hospital, did not look pregnant, And the doctors examined her, and they said, well, you're in labor. And she's like, I couldn't be in labor. I had an abortion several months ago. And boom, the baby was born. Well, in the process of the doctors aborting her twin, they broke her body in numerous places. And so she was, we'll have to find the picture and see if we can put it on our website so folks can see it, and the story, because she was part of a set of twins. Her twin didn't make it. She did. And there's a picture of the doctor who delivered her holding her. And by this time, she was a few days or a week or so old, and she was in a full body cast to repair the damage to her body. Wow. And now she travels around the country and tells her story. So,
and our one of our pastor's wives has a story like that too, and it's kind of hard to argue with somebody when they're standing right there and they were the product of rape and incest. And if it wouldn't have been for her 13-year-old mother who knew that abortion was killing a baby, she wouldn't be here.
The thought that I had with the twin, God definitely intended her to survive. And because they didn't know she was in there, and how they didn't know.
Yeah, with today's technology.
The technology, and this was 25 years ago, something of that nature. So the technology was still there.
Yeah.
So
I think when we come back, Bruce, we should talk a little bit about some of the excuses that people use for abortion and some of the answers to those if you're talking to somebody.
Absolutely. We thank you for joining us tonight. The show's a little different than it usually is. It's Pro-Life Radio, and it's just Vicky and myself, Bruce Cherry.
And it's supposed to be Dave, too, but he hasn't said much.
Dave's been quiet. I think Dave's watching something on TV in the next room. I'm not sure.
No, I'm just keeping an eye on the levels, that good stuff.
Doing the producer.
You guys knew that story. I wasn't up to speed on the non-local stuff so much.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll talk about some local stuff when we get back. All right. On the way back, if you like this show, you love the ministry, and you believe that all life matters, please help us keep it on the air. We'll have details coming up on AM 950, FM 94.9, The Answer.
If you're pro-life, like this show, and want to support this mission, please help with your donation today. Go online to givesendgo.com/Orlando Pro-Life Radio, or make your check out to Mission Save America, Inc., and mail it to 13900, County Road 455, Unit 107-334, Claremont, Florida 34711. Pro-Life Radio is a non-profit entity, and all donations are tax-deductible. Thank you.
And welcome back to Pro-Life Radio on a Sunday evening. I'm Vicky Cherry. Across from me is my very handsome husband, Bruce.
So a little residual or mutual sucking up, so to speak. Is that it? Okay.
Did I do something to have to be sucking up for?
No, but I appreciated it. That's for sure.
And in the other room, our producer, Dave DiRica.
Hello.
And walking around my feet is the Pro-Life puppy, Princess.
Yes, she is excited to be in the studio
And as soon as
today.
I said that, her tail started wagging.
Yeah.
So if you hear a thump, 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 that's her. She's happy, and she's beating me with her tail.
We got to put a picture up of her on our website and our Facebook.
We do. We
do have, if you guys are looking for us, we are online. We have a guy that's on our team, that Scott Stacy, give him a little heads up. Mm-hmm. He goes on TikTok, Facebook.
He's our social media director.
Yes,
and he does an excellent job. So thank you, and prayers for Scott, because he's the guy's tireless. Yeah. He's everywhere. Shows up at everything.
He does a lot of things. He's definitely a friend of Pro-Life Radio, and he actually is putting us on. He's a TikTok.
Yeah.
Is where it's really blowing up, because a lot of them are just suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
They just take them down or move them out. So
or they limit the amount of people that can see the message that we're trying to share, and TikTok just goes. So if you and we know this for a fact, if we say pro-choice in a show, the exposure gets huge. So every now and then you'll hear me mention pro-choice, not supporting it, just mentioning it, because boom.
Yeah, I heard we should quit calling it pro-choice and be against death, something like that, but change up our terminology.
Not be against pro-choice. To say, instead of saying pro-life, saying against death.
Yes.
There's all this terminology that's in the social media stratosphere that we should be
Well,
using.
and so for so many years, we have just let so many things go. We haven't really put up a resistance, and I think that's part of what our issues are. We need to start, like saying it's not a baby. Well, it most certainly is. Well, it's not human yet. Well, as long as it has DNA, that's what makes us human. So it is a human. It has DNA.
From the moment it's conceived, it's human. I mean, if you get pregnant, you're not producing puppies if you're a human being. You're
I
producing
just
humans.
have to think if you hear about, well, for instance, Sloth World here in Florida was supposed to open, and we've heard recently in the news about all the deaths of all these sloths, and people are in an outrage about it, right?
Some of those same people
Absolutely.
would not be in an outrage about abortion.
No, they haven't been. Think of the journalist a while back. He was the one in jail for bringing to light that they were harvesting and selling baby parts. And you have to think, okay, if it's not human, then whose parts are they giving away?
It wasn't just a he. There was also a she in there of someone we know personally, Sandra Merrick, who had recorded doctors bragging about how much money they make off of selling baby body parts through abortion. And the state of California and former vice president, who was also the former state attorney general of California, Kamala Harris, wanted to see this woman crushed. They wanted her in jail. They wanted her broken. They wanted to destroy her because they don't want anybody else letting out the dirty little secret that abortion is big money for Planned Parenthood, for Big Pharma, for all kinds of organizations. It's big money, and they did not want that secret getting out.
Well, so many of the baby parts are used. I mean, they use them and they use them in many different things. They do harvest those organs. They do put it in makeup. I mean, there's so many things that they do with it. And the only reason they're upset about it and don't want it to end is because it is big money. If always follow the money. Huge saying.
That's it.
And I just pray. I wish that people would open up their eyes and see.
When you have doctors bragging about, hey, I want a Ferrari. Lamborghini, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in that. And we just watched that clip this morning, Bruce and I did. Sitting at our new home. Thank God, praise the Lord, we got a new home. And we just were sitting out there and discussing life and being grateful for what we do have. But it's at least we have life, right? And these babies don't even get a chance at life. And they're profited off of by people that won't look at them as human beings. Just because they're inside their mother's womb, which should be the safest place for them.
True. So there's so many excuses for getting an abortion. So many. I can't afford it. We can't afford it. It's not the right time. We're not where we want to be in our careers.
It's not a baby.
I don't know if that's even an excuse. That's just... That's their justification of a decision they've already made. That's what that is.
And one of the big things, too, is God will forgive me. To think that God does not have that justice, that, what is that saying, Bruce, if you can help me remember, to let somebody that did a crime get off lightly is against the victim of the crime. I mean, there's a saying.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you're going with that, but it's like
I'm sure somebody out there knows.
In order for bad people to do evil, if good people do nothing, it's I know.
Yeah, but there is anyway when we don't have justice for that victim, and we just let off the abuser. It's not morally right.
See, here's the thing. I'm not looking for justice in this. I'm looking for, let's stop the injustice. Let's stop it. Let's stop killing our children before they're born. Let's stop killing our children, period. Let's stop killing people because we know this for a fact. If abortion continues, we become calloused as a society. And the next step, and it already is happening all over the world, is euthanasia. Yeah. We talked about this last week on the show or the week before. A country in Europe was bragging about the fact that they had just euthanized a 14-year-old autistic kid. Now, you tell me how on earth a 14-year-old autistic kid has decided he wants to end his life.
Well, and even people that have decided. I just read about a 56-year-old woman that her son had committed suicide, so now she wanted to die. I say, you have your whole life ahead of you. You know, what God could use for what you went through, you know, to help others.
And the problem is that woman, that 56-year-old woman, she didn't know God. She did not have God in her life. Otherwise, she would have sought healing. And so it is up to all of us to help people know God and to at least share truth with them. And then they can make their own decision. I mean, God doesn't force himself on anybody. That's why he gave us all free will. We can choose to accept him and follow Jesus, or we can choose not to. But we know the consequences. But my point is, a 14-year-old autistic kid has no clue. No clue. And so we've got to be protectors of life. The unborn.
All life. Mm-hmm.
All life. It is very important and I've seen this firsthand, when you've got someone in the hospital, let's say they're in a life-threatening situation, they're in a coma, there's got to be an advocate by their side 24/7, because the hospitals anymore, I don't think they care.
And kind of for the same reason of the babies that are aborted and used to harvest their parts, they're harvesting parts of adults all the time too.
Yeah.
A while back, a hospital got in trouble for that.
So-and-so's brain dead, and they're not coming back. So we want you to sign this document here to harvest their, we want to give their kidneys, their lungs, their eyes, yada, 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 that sort of thing. And I've brought this up numerous times. They have found in various cases where the hospital is billing the family that they're performing this harvesting on. They're going to turn the machine off that keeps this person alive, but they're going to harvest all their body parts. In the process of harvesting their body parts, they're charging the family for anesthesia so that the person who's supposedly brain dead doesn't feel any pain while they're cutting their heart and their kidneys and their eyes out. If they're brain dead and they're not coming back, how can they even feel that pain? So we're getting way off the subject here, but the point is that
we're also all life matters, and we're talking about life in general. We have to care about all life. Dave, you've been so quiet. Do you have anything to share?
Well, I can contribute that the anesthesiologist will just kind of pitch in to get the extra money, even if the corpse is cold and not going to feel anything at all. It's one of the few I have left over from my medical bills I'm dealing with is a particularly aggressive anesthesiologist. So,
wow.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. There are the stories of the guys on the table, and then all of a sudden he wakes up in the middle of taking out his lungs or whatever and going, hey, I'm using those.
Do you mind? I'm not done with those yet. Oh, no. Give him some more. Give him some more gas.
If he can complain, clearly we're not doing it right.
Yeah, so.
But, I remember when I was first getting my driver's license, my mom warned me, don't fill out the organ donor thing because they will go, yep, you look good and healthy and very useful.
Yeah.
Gosh darn, we just can't fix them.
Yeah. I had no idea. I had no idea about that, and Bruce told me. So for the first time, when I got my driver's license here in Florida, I took that off of there. I'm like, okay.
I said, you filled that out? She's on your old. I was looking at her old one. I said, you fill out your organ donor thing? And it's not that I'm not for preserving life, but I think we've gotten to a point in our society where we no longer look to preserve life. Our medical industry has become just that. It's become an industry. It's for profit. The insurance industry.
We used to be able to trust our doctors.
And if COVID taught us one thing, it's that, not everybody that wears that white smock and has their name stitched into it has our best interest at heart.
Look at years ago with smoking. Most doctors said, oh, yeah, it's fine. They'd even do ads for cigarettes.
Yeah.
So it's not just been recently, but I think there's more of an evil involved now.
Yeah. Hey, we're kind of all over the place tonight, but the mission still stays the same. Protect life. All life matters. It's Pro-Life Radio on a Sunday night. Vicky Cherry, I'm Bruce Cherry, and we'll be right back with more Pro-Life Radio in just a moment. On AM 950, FM 94.9, The Answer, streaming on theanswerorlando.com.
If you're pro-life, like this show, and want to support this mission, please help with your donation today. Go online to givesendgo.com/Orlando Pro-Life Radio. Or make your check out to Mission Save America, Inc. and mail it to 13900, County Road 455, Unit 107-334, Claremont, Florida 34711. Pro-Life Radio is a non-profit entity and all donations are tax-deductible. Thank you.
And welcome back, Pro-Life Radio on a Sunday night. And we're talking about all things life tonight. Across from me, my lovely wife, Vicky Cherry. On the bridge, Dave DiRica.
Hello.
And I'm Bruce Cherry. And I want to remind you that the Pro-Life Action Ministries Life Banquet Central Florida is coming up on May the 12th. Keynote speaker this year is Troy Newman. He is the president of Operation Rescue. They're excited to welcome him for the annual Life Banquet, and he's a great keynote speaker. I have heard this gentleman before. So I recommend you get your tickets, and please join us. Pro-Life Radio will be there. Last year, Vicki and I were honored to be the guest MCs for it. And we had a great time. And it's always a great time. It's always informative, and it's just great to be around like-minded, faith-based people like at the banquet.
It is.
It's just a great time.
It really revives you, invigorates you to go out and put your voice in action to do something for these people. Yeah. I know the first year we went to their banquet, we watched a lady that had survived an abortion. And
a chemical abortion, I think.
Chemical abortion, yeah.
And she had wound up with cerebral palsy because of it. Yeah. You can get your tickets at Pro-Life Action Ministries. They are PLAM.org. And click on events, and you can get your tickets right there. And we hope you'll join us. It's going to be at Calvary Assembly of God, Orlando, on Clay Street in Witter Park. And it's always a great time.
Yeah. Again, that's May 12th.
May 12th, yes. So, okay, rape and incest, another reason that we'll hear Christians say all the time, I am totally against abortion, except in the case of rape or incest. And we know someone who is the product of both of those. And I cannot imagine invalidating her life. She's a pastor's wife. She's a great friend of ours. And her and her husband counseled us when Vicki and I were looking to get married. And she's been on this show several times.
Several times, yes. And she was just recently sharing about how when we were trying to fight Amendment 4, and thank God it did not get put on our state constitution that we are, going to allow people to have abortion.
And, of course, we're talking about Cheryl Hadley.
Cheryl Hadley, yes. And she said that she had went in to vote and seen all these young ladies, 14, 16-year-olds, holding signs about abortion, that they were for abortion.
And they were promoting Amendment 4.
And they were promoting Amendment 4. So she just went up and she asked one of them. At first I'm sure she got a little upset and excited, and, because she is the product of rape and incest and never knew her mother until later in her life. She always just assumed that it was a young couple, but she found out later that at 13, her mother had been raped by her uncle. And so the police at the time, her teacher, they all tried to talk her into getting an abortion. She didn't even know what an abortion was. So she went up to these young girls at the voting place and said, "What is it that you're promoting? What is an abortion?" And they couldn't even tell her what an abortion really was. So she kind of led them through what an abortion was. And then they said, "Well, what about, they talked about rape and incest." And she said, I don't want to, hurt you girls. I don't want to, but I want to tell you that my story was I was a product of rape and incest. My uncle had raped my mother at 13. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here talking to you. And, she went in and voted, came back out, and all of them were gone with their signs. So, God likes to use our misery and turn it into a ministry. And so, or even our mothers or our fathers. So her story is just amazing. And I ask the listeners to please be praying for her, because her and her husband now are going to start speaking at different events. So pray for their ministry.
In fact, and if you would like to get in touch with them, reach out to us here at Pro-Life Radio. and we can get you connected with them. But they are speaking, traveling around, visiting churches and clubs and organizations. Something that is really sad. I mean, we were so blessed that we defeated Amendment 4. We know they're going to come back at Florida. Florida is the linchpin for the rest of the country. They had a victory in Montana because Montana didn't have a 60% ratio to vote down what was Montana's Amendment 4. It was Proposition something. I cannot remember the number.
Yeah, it was a weird.
But it was Montana is one of the most conservative states in the entire country, Vicky's home state. And it shocked me when we found out that Montana, their amendment passed on the same night that Amendment 4 in Florida was defeated. And so it's vital that we not rest on our laurels. Hey, we beat Amendment 4. Great. We won that battle. The war still rages, and they will come back at us with another attempt to make abortion on demand part of the culture of Florida. And we have to fight to make sure that it doesn't. We have to make sure that we don't sit around and rest on our laurels. If you are contributing finances to an organization during the time of Amendment 4, but you stopped afterwards, those organizations still need your help. Priest for Life, they're struggling right now. Well, ProLife Radio, our donations are down.
Yeah.
Pro-Life Action Ministries, their donations are down. They were at an all-time high during the fight for Amendment 4, and as soon as Amendment 4 failed, people thought, okay, we can sit back, we can rest now. We won. And that's not the case. We need to constantly be about protecting life.
I wanted to share a little bit about our friend Tom Vale, who used to be co-host on the show when we first started, and we're on 3 years now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bruce.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So Tom Vale started Florida for Life, and what it is and how we kind of got started back into the pro-life movement was we had all worked on an amendment that we tried to get on the ballot.
To battle Amendment 4.
Battle Amendment 4. Well, it was actually before Amendment 4. It was to change the Constitution to
protect the unborn.
Yes.
And keep from something like Amendment 4 coming into play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we were on that. We didn't make enough signatures to make it on the ballot because you have to have almost 1 million.
Almost 1 million.
And so we didn't make it on the ballot. So Tom is actually getting back on the fight for that. And so you can reach Tom at floridaforlife.com. So that's Florida, F-O-R, life.com. And he's going to try to introduce to the amendment question on the 2028 ballot. Mm-hmm. So it'll be an important amendment. We're just constantly trying to stay against abortion. Mm-hmm. Try to keep Florida a life state.
Yeah. And a lot of people are under the misinterpretation or the impression, if you will, that abortions are down. Mm-hmm. Surgical abortions are down. Mm-hmm. Planned Parenthood has closed several surgical abortion centers in Florida and around the country. But we know the truth. The truth is surgical abortions are down. Chemical abortions are up.
We were just at the Christian Chamber conference, Expo, mm-hmm. The United States Christian Chamber. It was awesome. If you don't know about it, you should go on and find out a little bit about it. But it's all businesses, some nonprofit, some for-profit, but they're all Christian-based. Their owners are. I never knew that the president and founder of Regent, was it Regent?
Regent Bank.
Regent Bank, strong Christian man. He had a testimony. It was incredible. But we met a lady there that had shared that they do a retreat for post-abortive men and women, and there was a lady there that had just recently taken the abortion pills. Taken. Sometimes that Montana hick, I guess, come out. Bruce teases me all the time about my accent. I say I don't have one, but Joe does too. He says I say root instead of root. Anyway, so she said that they just recently had a young lady that came to the refuge to post-abortive counseling and therapy, and she had a chemical abortion. And obviously had that baby. And when it came out, it fit in the palm of her hand, and she's seen that it was just a tiny baby with hands and feet, beautiful little face, and she had no idea. And so, there's a lot of these women that do that. They are now, like Bruce was sharing, they're not going to a abortion clinic. They're just going and getting a pill and taking that pill and then seeing that face of their child, a lot of times floating in the toilet.
Or on the floor of their bathroom or their dorm or their bedroom.
And it's causing crazy, unsurmountable idea of, you talk about an image burned in your brain for the rest of your life. And again, back to what Bruce said earlier about forgiveness at the cross.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just, and I want to make sure this comes out properly. I don't want to offend anyone. It's not just about them finding out that it's a baby that they've just passed through their body, that they've killed. Not a clump of cells. It is a baby. But what's happening is, in a lot of cases, and God bless John Stemberger and the Liberty Council Action Ministries, because they've put it out into the foreground that people now know that those baby body parts a lot of times wind up flushed down the toilet and wind up in our drinking water, because the water treatment plants are not set up to filter out DNA, and they're not set up to filter out the drugs, the DNA-altering drugs that the women have been given to cause the abortion. And so they're talking to anyone who will listen in government. They've gotten in front of President Trump, and they continue to try and get in front of President Trump to change this, because the pills that they're using are poisoning us, people who haven't even had abortions. So we're seeing lower rates of births and higher rates of infertility in both men and women because of these drugs being in the water. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about Texas. Texas has an abortion drug bounty hunter law, and that's being challenged. We're going to tell you about that in just a bit. Coming back on Pro-Life Radio on a Sunday night on AM 950, FM 94.9, The Answer.
If you're pro-life, like this show, and want to support this mission, please help with your donation today. Go online to givesendgo.com/Orlando Pro-Life Radio, or make your check out to Mission Save America, Inc., and mail it to 13900, County Road 455, Unit 107-334, Claremont, Florida 34711. Pro-Life Radio is a non-profit entity, and all donations are tax deductible. Thank you.
And welcome back to Pro-Life Radio on a Sunday evening. I'm Vicky Cherry. Across from me is my handsome husband, Bruce.
Thank you. And we are talking about...
And don't forget about Dave.
And Dave DiRica.
I am indeed still lurking in the distance.
Yes, he is. And Pro-Life Puppy Princess is at my feet. She's just chilling out now.
Yeah,
so.
she's having a great time.
Yeah, she's just glad to be with us.
Yes.
So we were talking about the abortion pill and how Texas, more and more things I find out that I love about Texas. So we'll see how this shakes out with this. But according to Reuters News this week, a California doctor has asked a federal judge to rule that a Texas law allowing private citizens to sue abortion providers on behalf of the state is unconstitutional, and to dismiss the first lawsuit filed under it. Now, the doctor in question, Dr. Remy Courtois, is filing in Galveston, Texas federal court. He filed late this past Thursday, said the law known as HB 7 violates the U.S. Constitution by interfering with interstate commerce and the Texas Constitution by allowing unaccountable citizens to exercise enforcement powers reserved for government. Now, what has happened here is that Courtois moved to dismiss this lawsuit by a Texas man. The Texas man is Jerry Rodriguez. Jerry has a very good reason for filing this lawsuit. It seems that Jerry Rodriguez, who says the doctor prescribed abortion drugs to his girlfriend against his wishes, leading to the death of their baby. Mm-hmm. Now, the basic concept of the democratic rule is undermined when public powers are exercised by those who are neither elected by the people or appointed by public official or entity. Now, that's the doctor. I knew when the democratic rule thing came into play that it was like, okay, this is the guy who's against this. Texas has a law that says if you feel that, something that's going on in the state is bad, that you can pursue legal remedy through that law. If it's from somebody outside the state, you can sue on a federal basis, and that's what's going on with Jerry Rodriguez. He's suing this doctor in federal court because he provided abortion pills from California to Texas. Texas has very strict abortion laws, and apparently he shipped the pill in, she took it, or the pills, she took it, the baby died. So Corto is the first provider to face a private lawsuit under HB 7, which took effect in December, and now the first to challenge the law's bounty hunter provision. God bless Texas. Hey, we're not going to stop this until we say, okay, if you're a pharmacy or you're a doctor out of state and you're shipping your poison into our state to kill our people, we're coming after you.
I love the whole bounty hunter thing.
Yeah.
There is that. It also makes me think of the pro-life Spider-Man. Have you heard of him? He climbs buildings to bring up awareness about abortion. And what? I think I recently read something that he is also in trouble. They're trying to fiine him.
For climbing buildings? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been fining guys for climbing buildings.
But they're really going after him. Just recently I read they're going to, I think they're trying to give jail time. They're trying to give a horrendous amount of bail. It's pretty crazy. They're very much going after him, and it's because, of course, he's pro-life.
But meanwhile, people can just walk up to people and beat the daylights out of them on the street in New York and places like that and spit on them, and they either get no jail time or very little jail, slap on the wrist. Don't do that anymore. They brought it on themselves, but don't do that anymore. That kind of thing. So
it's just so upside down and so one-sided.
Dave? What can we do?
What can we do?
Well, Dave was talking.
Well, the midterms are on the way, so it is important we all start doing our civic duty, keeping up with who we have in office currently, who's on option to primarium and all that good stuff. Because, just because there's an R next to the name does not mean they are as pro-life as you might like.
Very true. Very true. But we also, yes, we know there are some that claim to be Republican and conservative and pro-life, and they really aren't. And so we just got to do our homework. We've got to be diligent. But we know for certain those that have Democrat after their name, they are obviously...
it is extremely unlikely to find anybody in that crowd.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that we get conservative, God-fearing Christians in office. And, I met someone recently who professes to be a Christian, and I believe they are very strong, but they have examined their faith down to the level of, do I really want to inflict my will on other people? Well, you're not inflicting your will on other people. You're voting. We're required as Christians to vote our faith. That's what God calls us to do. And if man has passed a law that goes against that faith, then we need to do all we can to get that law changed. And if it calls for changing the people who pass the laws, then that's what we do. We vote them out of office. We help them. As an old boss of mine used to say, we're going to help them find a new career. And that's what we should do.
So the pro-life Spider-Man was sentenced to 45 days in jail, along with a suspended sentence and probation, after he climbed the Las Vegas Sphere in a stunt that authorities said cost tens of thousands of dollars in damage. Now, I don't know how that would cause tens of thousands of dollars in damage.
Yeah, in Las Vegas?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is Las Vegas that liberal? I mean, is it really?
I believe it is.
Is it? Okay.
Dave, do you know?
I don't know, but I don't know of Las Vegas traditionally being looked on as a family values sort of destination, aside from that short bit around the 90s.
Yeah, that short bit when they tried to displace Disney as the destination for families, and that didn't last long.
So he
I
is
suppose
still in
in their
jail.
own way, Disney sort of caught up with Vegas.
Right,
yeah.
and maybe even surpassed it
Yeah.
in some ways. At least Vegas, you pretty much know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Disney, they try to do it with tunnels and back behind things. Yeah. Anyway, but the man is in jail now. Won't get out until June 4th, and he is ordered to pay over $77,000.
Wait a minute, if he did $10,000, or was it 10,000 or tens of
I
thousands
don't
of
know.
dollars?
It was a lot,
Damage.
but
Wow.
This-
77,000. So we should start a GoFundMe for him.
I think he might already have one. But
We'll have to look and
yes,
see.
Yes.
We'll have to look and see. Wow.
Wow,
So-
Bruce, we only have like 4.5 minutes left.
Well, we want to remind everybody, get your tickets for Pro-Life Action Ministries banquet, their life banquet that's coming up on May 12th. And it's going to be a great time. Join us for it. We're looking forward to it.
And, Dave was talking about the midterms coming up, and that is so important, Dave.
Yep, especially as we are now in the primary season. So if there is going to be somebody to change out, now's the time to do it.
I'm not aware of anybody in our district that is not pro-life that's running. So I have nothing to share with that on that. I know there's some controversy about.
I'm not looking to put anybody specifically on blast and going, but
Yeah.
no, just,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, we do have quite a wide reach on this big tower we are operating out of.
Yes,
so
we
it
do.
is important to remember, though, it is the time if you are going to do your civic duty, we need to start looking into who's running, who's not, and all that good stuff.
And do some background checking on them.
Yeah.
There's... Go back on their Facebook. Go back on their social media posts. You can find out a lot on what they believe.
And something to understand, every election is very important. I've heard
it is.
people say that, that's a school board election. I don't have kids in school anymore. We don't have kids in school anymore. But every election is important. And the next generation coming along needs a great foundation. Not a good foundation, a great foundation. And that starts with the school board.
Yep, you may not have a kid in the school, but you will certainly be dealing with the results of the school
Absolutely.
in a few years when they are out of school.
Bingo. Bingo.
And running for positions that look at Maxwell Frost.
And making decisions that will affect all of us.
Yes.
So yes, every election is important. If they're running for dog catcher, which doesn't happen in Florida, but that's an important election. Every election is important.
Well, you were referencing the man that you talked to at the Christian Chamber. I mean, who we put in office makes a great difference in our lives. People don't understand that,
We're studying the book of Acts in our Bible study, and in there it covers politics. It talks about Paul saying we have a responsibility to be obedient to the leaders that God has ordained to be in place, but we also have a responsibility to practice civil disobedience if those leaders have put in place laws that go against God's rules.
Abortion.
Abortion is one of them. That is it. Abortion is one of them. And invalidation of the family unit of mother, father, son, daughter. And so we are obligated to fight against that. And whether we fight against it, we should always fight against it spiritually. We should always be in prayer, but we should be active, finding the right candidates to be in office, to vote properly, to protect life at all costs.
Well, and natural order of things. You look at nature and what's, husband, wife, children. That's how God ordained it, and that's a natural order of things. And to think that we're not saying that we hate anybody, that we're against anybody, but it's God's order, and that's what works, and that's how He created us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. Well, that music says that our time is just about over. Can I ask you one more time? Get your checkbooks out. Go online and make a donation to help keep this ministry on the air. Pro-Life Radio.
Pro-Life Radio.
Pro-Life Radio. We are self-funded, but through donations, we're able to keep this on the air, and we thank you for that. And we will be back again next week, right here on AM 950, FM 94.9, The Answer. And you can catch our show streaming at theanswerorlando.com. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for Dave in the control room. Thank you for all who participate in the show, all who keep it on the air. And we pray that we've changed a heart or two out there tonight and shared truth with you. And we thank you for listening. We thank you for making time for us.
Remember, Jesus loved you.
On behalf of my beautiful wife, Vicky, Dave DiRica, our producer, and pro-life puppy princess in the studio with us tonight, I'm Bruce Cherry saying good night. God bless. We'll see you next week.
If you're pro-life, like this show, and want to support this mission, please help with your donation today. Go online to givesendgo.com/Orlando Pro-Life Radio, or make your check out to Mission Save America, Inc., and mail it to 13900, County Road 455, Unit 107-334, Claremont, Florida 34711. Pro-Life Radio is a non-profit entity and all donations are tax deductible. Thank you.
You've been listening to Pro-Life Radio, a strong voice for the unborn in Florida, with Vicky and Bruce Cherry. Connect with Vicky and Bruce online at ProLifeRadio.com and join us again next week at this very same time for Pro-Life Radio. Pro-Life Radio is a pre-recorded show.